What if I told you the mother behind me was feeding her sons to cannibals? Behind me is Clara Marova. She's from the Czech Republic and she had two sons, Jacob and Andrej. Her and her sister were part of this weird cult called the Grail movement. They believed by doing good deeds that they would go to heaven. Now here's where it gets dangerous. This cult also believed that they were free to commit any crimes they wanted to and nothing would affect them. And they were also cannibals.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video I drop. You guys are helping growing the community. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Seek the truth.
Countries with the rudest people, according to tourists. Well, before we talk about the rudest countries, the 5 countries that are ranked the friendliest are Portugal, Netherlands, New Zealand, Spain, and at number 1 is Canada. So if you live in any of those countries, good job! However, at number 5 for the rudest country is none other than China. But guys, us Americans aren't too far off because we were ranked as the 6th rudest country. Next, at number 4, travelers say Germany is one of the rudest countries, but Germans claim it's just them being straightforward. Now at number 3 is the UK because tourists say they're a bit passive-aggressive and noisy. However, at number 2 is Russia because visitors say they avoid small talk and generally don't smile much. And finally, at number 1 is France. And France is literally ranked number 1 on almost every single list on the internet.
Here's some crazy history
Wow.
you were not taught in school. Benjamin Franklin was not trusted to write the Declaration of Independence because they thought he'd sneak in some jokes. A 15-year-old Andrew Jackson told a British officer to shine his own shoes. Abraham Lincoln founded the Secret Service hours before he was assassinated. The photographer who snapped Einstein's office after his death bribed his way in with a bottle of scotch. A 12-year-old boy lied about his age to fight in World War I and saw combat at 13 years old before his mom dragged him home. Britain spent 40% of its national budget to free slaves in 1833. The loan wasn't paid off until 2015. Greek statues weren't white. They were once painted in bright colors, but the pigment faded over time. Archaeologists dug up 35 perfectly preserved bottles of cherries and berries from the 1700s at George Washington's estate. Chef Boyardee was drafted in World War II. His factory ran 24/7 making army rations.
This is why you should never explore abandoned buildings. In 2013, 3 boys named Paul, Tim, and Max all lived in Louisiana. There were tons of abandoned houses in their neighborhood left over from Hurricane Katrina, and the boys all loved to explore them. One day, Paul asked his 2 friends to explore an abandoned hospital a few miles out of town. They agreed and the 3 boys set off. They explored every floor of the hospital except for the basement. But upon walking down to the basement, they discovered that it was flooded with over 4 feet of water. They walked down the stairs and shined their lights on the murky water. It took them to the middle of a hallway, but they couldn't see down either side. Paul thought it would be a good idea to wade down the flooded hallway. His friends stayed back when all of a sudden there was a huge splash. Paul shined his flashlight down the basement and saw a huge creature swimming towards him. His friends began to scream at him and Paul ran back to the staircase. The 3 boys escaped the hospital and went home to never return. They believe they heard an alligator, but will never be sure.
Be careful, man. You're
the Menendez
exploring.
Murders. The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries, causing the boys to be retried, but during the second trial, the judge didn't allow the boys to use the sexual abuse as a defense. Both brothers were convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, with both of them receiving life sentences and no possibility of parole. They then didn't see one another for 22 years. Until 2018, they were housed in the same unit, and when they met, they embraced and burst into tears. The child psychologist that works with the brothers claims that the boys are innocent and their father was in fact a monster. A cousin of the boys also states that he remembers Lyle telling him during his childhood that his father was doing things to him that no parent should ever do. Others believe, however, that the boys are simply using any excuse they can, given that they are actually held accountable for their crimes. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide the innocence of...
Scary fact you wish you
Menendez
never
brothers.
knew. On an American $1 bill, there's an owl in the upper left-hand corner of the one encased in the shield, and a spider hidden in the front upper right-hand corner. When someone tells you that they have a question for you, all the bad things you did recently run through your mind. People who don't dream usually have a personality disorder. Typing 444 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. When you suddenly wake up at night, it means someone is watching you. If you out a drop of liquor on a scorpion, it will go mad instantly. Coconuts kill about 150 people each year. Leave a note on a table before you leave the house. If you come back and it's gone, leave the house immediately and call the police. If someone misses you, they are 80% more likely to appear in your dreams. If a person sleeps a lot, they are sad. Someone invented Wi-Fi without having Wi-Fi. How is that possible?
Okay, you was spitting on the last one, bro. I didn't even think about it like that. Somebody made Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi
Have
wasn't
you guys
even
heard of the man who murdered his mother and threw her body in a dumpster? On June 3rd, 2022, at 6:50 a.m., police found the dismembered body of 62-year-old Tomoko Hoin in a dumpster outside of her apartment complex in Camarillo, California. Police went to the apartment complex after receiving a call about suspicious circumstances, and that's when they found the body of Tomoko. After obtaining a search warrant, Tomoko's son, 25-year-old David, barricaded himself in the apartment that he lived in with his mother, but police were able to get in and arrest him for her murder. Investigators found evidence linking him to the murder, but at this point, we don't really know what that evidence is. And the county medical examiner officers confirmed that Tomoko was strangled to death, but the motive is still not clear. David is being held on a $3 million bond, and if he's convicted, he faces 25 years to life in prison.
Traditional
Monster.
wedding clothes in different countries. United Kingdom.
suit and tie, yeah.
Scotland.
Another tux.
Wales.
Okay, he ran the skirt.
The Netherlands.
I'm pretty sure that's not what it's called. Quilt, what I mean?
Germany.
That's what they wear? What the hell?
Russia. Japan. China.
Different countries, man. Because different traditions.
Mexico. Korea.
Mysterious
Different
videos
garbs.
that can't be explained. This security cam footage from a library taken at 5:30 in the morning shows something kind of confusing. Out of nowhere, a book from the shelf seems to just fall over on its own and lands perfectly on its side. The library is closed and nobody's inside of it. But somehow one book was perfectly pulled out from the shelf and landed so that it balanced on the side of its pages. It would be next to impossible to pull out one book from the shelf without disturbing the others. And when the librarians tried to balance the same book on its side, they couldn't do it. What do you guys think happened to this book? Comment below. Next we have this dude from Florida who wanted to film himself practicing his golf swings to try and get better. But as he picks up the camera to stop the video, he catches a lamp swinging somehow by itself over his dining room table. The man freaks out, and it's pretty apparent that he's not doing this. He then pans to the side and catches his cupboards opening and closing. Is this proof of ghosts?
Dirty animal facts that biology class definitely didn't teach you. Part 1. Diego. The unstoppable sex tortoise, who is 100 years old, lives on the Galapagos archipelago and has fathered over 800 tortoises.
Damn.
When a male anglerfish meets a female, he fuses with her body, donating his brain, heart, and eyes, pretty much becoming a pair of testicles dangling from her body. Hey, darling. Nice testes. In 1912, biologists had to cover up the first published studies of penguins after observing them being the literal worst. Male-on-male penguin action. Male-on-dead penguin action. Male on unwilling female penguin action. Oh, an action in exchange for pebbles. If Finding Nemo was scientifically accurate, Marlin would have just changed into a female clownfish and mated with Nemo after his mother's death. Nemo! Oh, and, fish don't talk, but more importantly, the whole changing into a...
What the heck? Why you had to rule that childhood like that, man, about the Nemo fact? Never knew that, man. Gives a whole new meaning, man, to Finding Nemo, the movie.
This may be one of the scariest urban legends I've ever heard that actually turned out to be true. So during the 1970s, there was a terrifying funhouse in Long Beach, California called the Laugh in the Dark. And this urban legend began circulating that all the mannequins inside were fake except for one. Something about this mannequin just seemed wrong. All the others looked fake, but this one in particular, they say it looked a little too human. A bunch of kids even said the area around the mannequin had a terrible smell. This next part is where I poop my pants. So a few years go by, and then one day a TV crew comes to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their filming locations. The director's trying to line up the perfect shot, but he just doesn't like the way this one mannequin looked on camera. So he asks one of the crew members to move it out of the way. So the crew member goes over, starts moving the mannequin when the arm completely falls off. Inside the mannequin's arm is human bone. The kids were right all along. The mannequin was a mummified corpse.
This man claims he found a portal to another dimension in Washington. Part 2. Sorry for the wait. The next day, the dog was found outside the hole, alive. Amazed by what happened, Mel went onto a radio talk show to talk about the strange hole. Within 24 hours, Mel claimed the military seized his land where the hole was and told him to never talk about it again. Even in public satellite images, his land appeared to be covered. But here is the twist. People who investigated his story found no public records of anyone named Mel Waters. And a geologist named Jack Powell came forward saying a hole that deep could not physically exist since it would collapse on itself from the pressure. He even said he knew where Mel's hole was and took a camera crew to it. According to him, Mel's hole was nothing more than an abandoned mine shaft that was less than 10,000 feet deep. But who do you...
I don't know, man. Now the government's known for covering things up, so...
This woman left her daughter
Seems kind of-
alone with 6 hungry pit bulls. But when she came home, she saw a scene that shocked the entire world. Stephanie is only 4 years old and has loved animals since she was very little. One day, her mother Mary decided to adopt 6 adorable pit bulls as a birthday present for her daughter. Despite the stereotypes about these dogs, everything was going well until the unthinkable happened. One night, Mary needed to go to the supermarket to buy some things she needed to make dinner, and she had to rush to the store before it closed. She quickly got dressed and went to the supermarket. She went to the backyard and made sure that her dogs were locked in the cage for the safety of her daughter, who would be alone for a few minutes. She thought it would only take a few minutes, and that Stephanie would do fine on her own, but her daughter had a terrible idea. She opened the cage to feed the pit bulls by herself, and when the mother returned home half an hour later, the scene was incredible. Mary was speechless when she discovered the 6 pit bulls surrounding her daughter Stephanie. But when she saw what they did to her daughter, she was in despair and started crying a lot. She couldn't believe what was happening. Comment Pitbull to see what happened.
Disturbing
Damn, what
history
happened?
facts that school did not teach you. During medieval times, some women would shove live fish inside their bodies, if you know what I mean, and wait until the fish died inside them before cooking and serving it to their husbands. It was believed that this would increase their husband's love for them. Mother Teresa encouraged sick patients to suffer, but went straight to the hospital when she was ill. She is regarded by many as a saint for her dedication to helping the poor and sick in India. She believed suffering was a gift from God and encouraged her patients to accept it as a way to get closer to Jesus. However, when she herself fell ill with heart problems, she chose to get treated in modern hospitals. Charlie Chaplin met his future wife when she was 12 and he was 31. They first crossed paths on the set of the movie The Kid in 1920. 4 years later, due to Letta Gray's pregnancy, they got married when she was only 16 years old. Their turbulent union eventually resulted in one of the most expensive divorces of their time.
She fell in love with her daughter and married her.
What?
This is Stephanie from Oklahoma, and I wasn't even looking for this story. I was researching something else, and I came across this, and I was like, clicking that link. So Stephanie lost custody of her kids when they were younger, and their paternal grandmother took over. Later, she got back into her kid's life. And then she says her and her daughter just hit it off. And this was after she married her son in 2008 and then got it annulled in 2010. She said that wasn't a actual, with an S, relationship. She just married him to get him out of the military. Don't understand how this works, but that's what she said. Now this son right here says he tried that mess with her, but he wasn't going for it. He denied her advances. DHS got involved. She was 44 here and she was 26, so I don't understand how this worked with the DHS. I don't know if there was a child in the home or what, but DHS got involved and they were charged with incest. They are now divorced. Well, the marriage has been annulled. Oh, and the mother said she felt like she didn't do nothing wrong because her name wasn't on her daughter's birth certificate. Honey, it's in the blood.
Now, I know for a fact that I'm not the only one scared that sharks are going to be in my pool, right? Like, it's the most irrational fear ever, but I cannot go in a pool by myself or without, like, a bunch of different people in the pool at the same time because I'm scared of this happening, a freaking shark being in there. I don't know why. Like, I'm just so convinced that a trap door is going to open down there and a shark's going to swim out and it's going to eat me. I don't know why. Why? Am I the only one? Am I the only one? I can't be. Like, all of these photos are fake, by the way. They're all, like, AI or Photoshopped. This... no. Someone sent me this video and I just had to screenshot it because what? AI has gone too far. This is nightmare fuel. This is just... I hate it. I know that it's fake. I know that it's AI, but that doesn't stop me from having nightmares about it. Like, this AI girly is more brave than I'll ever be because what? Watch this Photoshopped or AI video that I'm about to show and how does it make you feel? And also... tell me that I'm not the only one. I need to be validated for this. Please.
Check it out. He went right into his damn... nah, bro. Like, imagine going to a pool and you see a whole shark.
Leah Roberts vanished without a trace on March 23rd of the year 2000. She was 23 years old, and after leaving a restaurant in Bellingham, Washington, she just vanished in thin air. She had driven there all the way from Durham, North Carolina, and she'd been staying there for 4 days. Later on, her vehicle was found crashed and deserted in North Cascades National Park. And finding her car happened years after her disappearance. Upon going over the car and searching it, investigators found a lot of tampering in the car's engine. Authorities suggested that the vehicle has been purposely tampered with. There was footage of her entering a gas station and she looked to be in good condition and she was alone. But the weird thing about the footage, she keeps peering outside as if somebody's following her, if she's paranoid that somebody's watching her. Days before this, she withdrew almost everything from her bank account, and till this day, Leah Roberts' disappearance is still a mystery and it is still unsolved. She had gone through a lot of trauma though, so people think she just kind of went off-grid. She lost both of her parents in a very short span of time. She was a very bright student in North Carolina, but she dropped out of college a semester before she graduated to go soul-searching. And once again, many think this is because of the trauma of losing her parents. But because she's alone, somebody well could have abducted her and taken her hostage. Scary thing about these cases, we might never know what happened. Let me know what you guys think about Leah Roberts' case in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
So much has happened in the past 24 hours, it's insane. Trump announced that US residency is now officially up for sale. They unveiled his brand new visa program, which has never been done before, called the Gold Card. It allows you to work in the US, gives you a route to citizenship, and it costs $5 million. Trump says that it will bring in wealthy, world-class global citizens. Next, Chile declared a state of emergency last night after a blackout plunged almost 19 million people into complete darkness. It affected almost the entire country. Hospitals, prisons, and government buildings were switched to backup generators. The internet and mobile phone services went down. You couldn't withdraw cash. National Guard forces were deployed onto the streets. And a curfew from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. was put in place. Next, Trump signed a price transparency executive order, which forces hospitals and health insurers to disclose healthcare cost details, and not estimates, but actual prices. Next, phone theft in the UK has got so bad that the government has given police new powers to enter properties without a warrant if tracking apps like Find My see that stolen devices are inside. In fact, this is just one of a whole package of new laws passed by the British government in order to tackle the country's knife crime, shop theft, antisocial behavior, cybercrime, etc. It's become one of the biggest legislative updates for policing in decades. Next, more than 250,000 Canadians have signed a parliamentary petition to try and revoke Elon Musk's citizenship and passport. If you didn't know, Elon is a triple citizen of South Africa, the United States, and Canada. Next, a mystery illness in the Congo is more than 50 people only hours after they began feeling sick. The Africa office for the WHO said that the outbreak began after 3 children ate a bat and died within 48 hours. CNN report that the still unknown illness has symptoms which are commonly linked to known deadly viruses such as Ebola, dengue, Marburg, and yellow fever, but that researchers have ruled these out based on tests of more than a dozen samples they've collected so far. Next, and lastly, you ever wondered what happens if someone dies on a plane but you're still halfway there? Yesterday on a Qatar Airlines flight, a woman collapsed in the aisle and died. Cabin crew tried to move her body towards business class, but, quote, she was quite a large lady and they couldn't get her through the aisle. So instead, they had to place her corpse, covered in blankets, next to this couple from Australia for the remaining 4 hours of the flight. As always, I'll keep you guys updated.
A cold case?
Imagine, man, you on a plane and you sit next to a person, man, that just left this world for 4 hours. What would be going through your head, man? I ain't gonna lie, I be like, that's freaking trauma, bro. That airplane company something. Got to, man. I have to give up something, man. Because I ain't sit next to a person who just left this world. That's just, I can't do that.
From New York has recently been reopened after remains were found more than 40 years after the victim disappeared. This is 25-year-old Karen Ramsey, and it is believed that she disappeared from Paterson, New York in May 1980. While police have looked for a missing persons report on Karen, it has been difficult to determine if one was even ever filed. But on April 16th, 2024, almost exactly 44 years later, her body was found wrapped in plastic under concrete about 8 miles from her home. Her remains were found during excavation work for a new home in a heavily wooded area in Paterson. According to a neighbor, clothing and tape were found with her remains. DNA evidence identified the remains as belonging to Karen Ramsey on June 7th, but at this point, it is unclear where the sample came from to test against. Karen had been living in a condo complex in Brewster, New York with her husband John Ramsey before she disappeared. She had married John a few years after high school after they met working in the same building. At the time they had met, John was married to another woman, but they fell in love, he got divorced, and married Karen. In October 1977, the couple purchased a condo with both of their signatures appearing on a document when they purchased it. And then on September 28, 1981, their signatures both appear again on the sale of the condo. But this was more than a year after police believed Karen disappeared. And the Karen Ramsey signature on the documents do not look very similar. The document was notarized on August 17th for the sale, but the notary has since died, so they can't be questioned. According to court records, John Ramsey sued his wife for divorce in August 1980, and he also took out a legal notice around that time, claiming that his wife abandoned him and their infant. John Ramsey died in 2022, and according to his obituary, he married a woman in October 1981, just days after Karen's signature was on the condo sales papers. Karen Ramsey's death has been ruled a homicide, but her cause of death has not been made public. But the investigation into her death is ongoing, and police are trying to determine what happened to her. But right now, it's just an investigation because there have been no real leads. Apart from the fact that her signature on the purchase and sale of the condo do look different. But this doesn't prove anything, and other than that, they haven't really gone anywhere. But this investigation is honestly just getting started as her body was just identified last month. So hopefully Karen will get the justice she deserves. Rest in peace, Karen.
Rest in peace, man. Justice for Karen. That case had twists and turns.
If you just won 30 mil and your mom's left eye surgery cost 29 mil, what you doing? We've got eyes at home. Now this is creative. I can definitely do Patrick's. That's facts. Email from HR. Your request for time off has been denied. Me on my flight, I didn't ask. I was just making sure you will wear out on vacation. If your boss dresses like this, you're not getting replaced by AI. If your lawyer comes in like that, you're going to jail. Roommate just said, I can't believe we've never had to buy trash bags. My roommate asked me why the cleaning lady didn't come this week. The week I did. First day at the job, I'm nervous AF. Bro is not getting paid. Okay, serious question. What's this for? We call it the old... To Tucson Cartier necklace worn by Daphne Kluger for the Met Gala, valued at over $100 million. Purely hypothetical, how could you sell a $150 million necklace? Facebook Marketplace. Next question.
Oh, man.
What if I told you the mother behind me was feeding her sons to cannibals? Behind me is Clara Marova. She's from the Czech Republic and she had two sons, Jacob and Andrej. Her and her sister were part of this weird cult called the Grail movement. They believed by doing good deeds that they would go to heaven. Now here's where it gets dangerous. This cult also believed that they were free to commit any crimes they wanted to and nothing would affect them. And they were also cannibals. Things now got even stranger when her sister showed up with an adopted Norwegian child named Anika. She was 13 years old. Some people believe she was actually 30 and posing as a child. She was in a trafficking ring and had a lot of sympathy for her. Soon, Clara started to forget about her sons and started thinking about adopting Anika as her own. That's when this weird doctor started emailing and texting her out of nowhere. He claimed to be Anika's physician. She met up with him, he showed her her medical records, he gained her trust. The doctor said to Clara that you cannot adopt Anika because her sons are so mean to her. This was the doctor's plan all along as a cult leader. Do you guys remember that cult I was talking about at the beginning of the video? The doctor is like the head of this cult. He said to fix this, she needs to beat her boys as much as she can, for every little thing, and she fell for it. This was to cure their evil spirits. The doctor said these treatments are not working now. You need to take them to a cottage very far off from everyone else. She met up there. There were several people there, including her sister and Anika's brother. The boys were put in cages and tortured in every single way you can think possible. People there started to skin the boys and eat their flesh. They also made the boys eat their own flesh as well. And Anika, the 13-year-old, she kept saying the boys were still being mean to her to continue this abusive cycle. She was also part of that cult and she was not 13. The whole cottage shock therapy ended and they went back home. The boys were treated the exact same back home though by their mother Clara. They were put in a cellar and locked up in there. Anika was living life in a room with a ton of toys and got everything she wanted. She was basically manipulating Clara this entire time. Now here's the way that she got caught and it is crazy. Her neighbor was setting up a baby monitor for his newborn baby. Now back in like the early 2000s, if you had a baby monitor nearby, it could pick up that signal and you could see what's in there. It could jam a little bit. He managed to see these boys tied up in cages in her basement. Could you imagine the horrifying look he had on his face seeing this? And he did what every good person would do. He called the police immediately to get them some help. The police came, everybody was arrested. Clara, her sister, and Anika. And it turns out Anika was a 33-year-old woman. Her real name was Barbara Sklorova. This is a picture of Barbara Sklorova right here, aka Anika, and she was the basis for the movie Orphan. In case the story is sounding familiar, it's basically Orphan. The doctor was actually the father of that girl Anika, aka Barbara. And Clara's sister was in on this cult the entire time and manipulated her. They all got about 5 to 10 years in prison. This story definitely had the wildest turn of events I've read about.
Paranormal Attacks Part 7, the dude who was attacked by a swarm of raging bees. 23-year-old Alex Bechler and a friend were on a hike in Usuri Mountain Park in Arizona when suddenly, without provoke, a swarm of bees suddenly attacked them. The aggressive swarm of bees stung Alex more than 1,000 times. His friend was able to flee and hide in a nearby bathroom. Several people tried to help Alex as he lay on the ground swarmed with these bees, but every time the bees would drive the people away. A sheriff finally used a UTV to get close enough to him, and still covered in bees, he grabbed Alex and fled with the bees pursuing. Once at the hospital, Alex was pronounced dead.
Man.
Creepy videos that you shouldn't watch at night, but you're going to anyway, part 10. I just held up 5, what the fuck. And for my dark web lovers, you will love this video, because this one actually surfaced on the dark web. Also, I might be going on a TV show. I got contacted by a company to make a TV show on Discovery Channel, pretty much about dark web and creepy videos, so thank you guys. So make sure to show some love so we can get him to see it. I just like my lights out. Alright, the video has since been deleted, but people actually downloaded it, so I'm just on YouTube. So this is in binary code. If anybody wants to decode that, please let me know. This video is pretty scary, so let's watch. What the fuck?
What's he wearing?
Oh, hell no. Here's the full binary code, so just save the video. So if you guys need help sleeping at night, click the link in my bio. And once you click the link, click on Get a Peaceful Sleep, and it's an app, download it, and you will get the most peaceful sleep of your life.
I don't know what the hell.
Scary facts that will blow your mind, part 2.
The Hoia Baciu forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
They need to freaking shut down that whole forest, man. You hear me screaming laughter, bro. That whole spot, where that little circle spot where it's just like nothing else is going. I feel like that's just like a portal, man, with some bad energy around there. Close it down.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This fisherman survived 6 hours in freezing water after his ship sank. He then walked near lava fields for 3 hours barefoot, and when he returned to safety, there were no signs of hypothermia, even though he was just wearing a shirt and jeans. Frank Hart was the first black athlete on a sports card back in 1880. This environmental activist climbed an over 1,000-year-old tree and didn't come back down for over 2 years. This farm boy from Idaho came up with the idea for an electronic television while he was plowing a field at 14 years old. This Italian banker over a 7-year period diverted over €1 million to his poorer clients from the wealthier clients so that they could qualify for loans. He made no profit and avoided jail in 2018 due to a plea bargain. This physician proved that yellow fever could be transmitted through a mosquito bite and unfortunately passed away from that mosquito bite just 17 days later.
He was dedicated to show the truth, man. He's a seeker of the truth for real.
This is known as the doll that aged. The doll used to look like this and was played with by a couple of kids, but then they started to grow up, so the doll was just locked away in the attic for like 14 years. So then as the parents went up to the attic to like clean it out, they were shocked to find the doll look like this.
How the hell was the doll aging?
Disturbing things Disneyland doesn't want you to know. A few years ago in Disney World, Florida, a little boy was snatched by a crocodile, and his remains were found a few hours later in a lake next to the park. Apparently the kid was just next to the water when the crocodile ate him up. Next, did you know that Disneyland has only closed 3 times throughout history? They were when JFK was shot, after a massive earthquake in 1994, and on September 11th, 2001. So let's just say they count on keeping their parks open for as long as possible. And finally, some rumors say that the skulls on the Pirate of the Caribbean ride are actually real human skulls. And if that's real, that is pretty messed up.
Fun fact, never been in Disney World ever.
Did you guys hear about the 34-year-old teacher that was essaying a 13-year-old student, and it turns out that they possibly have a 5-year-old child together? I'm at the point where this stuff doesn't even surprise me anymore because it's been happening so often lately. This woman's name is Laura Karen, and she was a 5th grade teacher in Middle Township Elementary School in New Jersey. So this whole thing started when Laura became the victim's teacher in the 5th grade. Laura and the victim's mother became friends, got to know each other, and she offered to take care of her kids. The victim, who was 11 years old at the time, was staying at Laura's house with his siblings regularly. Now, the kids went from going to Laura's house every day to then actually staying there permanently. It was said the kids did not go home anymore, and they basically lived in Laura's house from 2016 to 2020. During that time, the 11-year-old was being essayed by Laura, and allegedly they have a child together. Then fast forward a few years later, the victim's father saw a photo of Laura's child on Facebook, and he said, "This kid looks a lot like my son." He called police and an investigation began, and Laura was arrested, but they're still waiting on the DNA results. Now, when the siblings were asked if they saw anything weird going on in the house, they said that Laura and their brother slept in her bed every single night. And not only that, but apparently they also showered together, and they caught Laura essaying him one night. The siblings also said that when this baby was born, they knew that this was their brother's child, but they were told not to say anything because then Laura would get in trouble. And you guys won't believe this, but Laura was just released from jail until her next court date. This should be a wake-up call to people who leave their kids with literally just anyone. A lot of people believe that just because someone's a teacher, you can fully trust them, but what you may not know is that a lot of predators get positions that revolve around children just so that it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff.
Interesting people you've never heard
Can't trust
of.
anybody.
This dude ran out of gas in rural Maine in 1986 and then spent the next 27 years living isolated in the woods. This man was killed on a street in Brooklyn just before midnight on 9/11/2001, making him the sole victim of murders on that day because New York does not count the 9/11 attacks in its crime statistics, and his murder remains unsolved. This convicted Japanese war criminal recreated his prison cell at home because he believed that his 10-year sentence was too short, and he stayed there till he passed away. This professional swimmer retired due to lung complications after saving 20 people from debris-filled waters. Japan welcomed their first female fighter pilot in 2018 after she was inspired by Top Gun as a child. This basketball player slammed his head into a concrete post after he was frustrated getting his 5th foul, and ultimately was never able to walk again.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day. Firstly, you know these vacuum toilets that are most commonly used on planes and cruise ships? Well, there have been many reports of them sucking the rectum out of people when they flush. Next, this is just disappointing. 1 in 4 Americans actually believe that the sun rotates around the earth. Now, studies show that the average person will wait 5 months of their lifetime for red lights to turn green. You know when you're watching a movie or TV show and you hear these laugh tracks in the background? Well, most of them were recorded in the 50s, so you're hearing dead people laugh. This will ruin your childhood. The Red Power Ranger, Ricardo Medina, pleaded guilty to killing his roommate with a sword. Finally, you are now closer to death than you were when you started this video.
You ruin the Power Rangers for us, man. Who watched that when you was a kid, bro? Man, what's up with these actors, bro? It's like, once they lose their gig, it's over.
Disney princesses' gloves. Take a look at all the Disney princesses. Some are wearing gloves, some aren't. You'll notice that all the ones who aren't wearing gloves are commoners who married into royalty. Boo's real name in Monsters, Inc. is Mary. And this is the same as the young girl who voices Boo. Her name is Mary Gibbs. And her name is only visible when she's in their apartment and they're making drawings and her name is on the paper. Bambi only uses 72 unique words throughout the entire film. And in total, there are only about 900 words spoken throughout the entire thing as well. To get Robin Williams to play the genie in Aladdin, animators created a sequence of the genie performing Robin Williams stand-up routines. And this was one of the ways they pulled in Robin Williams for this part. Simba literally means lion. In Swahili, Simba directly translates to lion.
I never do that. What the hell? So his name is his name.
Only kids can hear this sound. So scientists discovered a sound they believe only kids can hear. The name of the sound is mosquito tone and it is at a frequency of 17 kilohertz. This is the sound. Let me know if you can hear it.
In 3, 2, 1.
So
I don't.
Did you hear the sound? Sophomore?
Did Doja Cat sell her soul and now she's in the Illuminati? She recently celebrated her 27th birthday with the Illuminati themed party, and they say when you sell your soul, like the devil takes something from you. Watch this clip, it's weird. That clip is not from her birthday party, but basically she's making all these weird faces. We know her music is a little symbolic, but just watch this other clip of her looking like she's glitching, she's glaring off into space, it's weird.
Yo, check out Doja Cat. Tell me she don't time out. Looks like she just... Yo, what happened to her? She glitched. Yo, she glitched.
Celebrities are kind of weird, like we've seen Cardi B space out in the middle of interviews, but when you're winning an award, that seems like a time when you shouldn't be like spacey. What do you guys think about this? Do you think she sold her soul?
Man, people in the industry, you know, some like I said, her music is like symbolic, so, but to say that she had a birthday party and that was the theme, I don't know if that's just like trying to be hidden in plain sight, or she's just trying to, you know, like, try to, you know, reflect that narrative back and just trying to, you know, be like, oh, it's just a party. It's everywhere, man.
Times when jokes backfired big time. In 2006, the high-end water Fiji ran an ad campaign jokingly saying the label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland. Well, the city of Cleveland, Ohio saw this and were offended because What did they ever do to deserve this? So rightfully, the city of Cleveland tested their tap water and found that it was actually cleaner and tastier than Fiji water. Next, several years ago, a California man had jokingly got a personalized license plate that read no, and thought it would trick the database, so whenever he got a ticket, it would register as no, meaning nothing. Well, the problem with that is, anytime there was an error on anyone else's license plate, they assigned it to him. He got $12,000 in fines.
Try to trick the system, ain't work.
This post made me think, what animal am I glad that I don't have to deal with? I'm cool with most animals, but I think I draw the line at bears, especially grizzly bears. And so the idea of the giant, short-faced bear is something I definitely find frightening. These were like grizzly bears, but much bigger. These were found in the Americas and went extinct towards the end of the last ice age.
Ooh.
So around 12,000 years ago. I don't know what it is about bears, but there's something about them that freaks me out more than any other animal. I'm not really sure why. Maybe one of my ancestors got chomped. As always, come talk on my Discord. You could even suggest content. Though the stickers are getting a little questionable. Info on my Discord in pinned.
Which animals are y'all glad that went extinct? Maybe the dinos for me. Could you guys imagine dinosaurs roaming the earth right now? Especially with the T-Rex. Nah.
Has anybody ever told you the terrifying true story of Snow White? I'm sure by now we all know the Disney version, but the Brothers Grimm version, which came before the Disney version, is actually much darker. In this version, the evil queen orders the huntsman to take Snow White into the woods, kill her, and bring back her liver and lungs for the queen to eat. Which is obviously very disturbing, but there's actually more to the story. Later in the story, the prince and Snow White are getting married, and they invite all the royalty in the land. The evil queen shows up, unknowing it was her stepdaughter's wedding. When she arrives, she's forced to step into burning hot iron shoes brought from the fireplace, and then she has to dance until she dies. And that's her punishment for trying to go after Snow White. I don't really feel bad for her, but gosh, I mean, this version is terrifying.
What's something small that completely changed the course of history? I'll go first. If not for a wobbly chair, we probably wouldn't have Social Security today. Giuseppe Zangara was an Italian immigrant who came to America in the 1920s for a better life. But he had a condition with his gallbladder that caused him immense pain and made him often unable to work. At the height of the Great Depression, there is a political rally near where Giuseppe lives in Miami. Giuseppe is a desperate man, and he was also a marksman in the Italian army. However, he was also only 5 feet tall, so he needs to stand on a wobbly metal chair in order to see over the crowd and get a good aim at President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Giuseppe fires 5 shots, but because the chair is wobbly, he hits the mayor of Miami instead of FDR. This was FDR's vice president at the time, John Manscarter, a conservative Democrat from Texas who opposed New Deal policies like Social Security. And if it weren't for a wobbly chair, he would have been president instead of FDR.
Whoa. Change the course of history.
What is the
She needs
craziest thing
justice.
someone's confessed to on their deathbed? Well, a deathbed confession made this year solved a 20-year-old cold case. And this is coming from the Heart Starts Pounding podcast episode that's all about cold cases that were solved this year. So this year in West Virginia, a man named Larry Webb was dying. And before he died, he called a nurse over and said he needed to get it off his chest that he killed a woman and her daughter back in 2000. It turns out that back then, a woman named Susan Carter and her 10-year-old daughter Alex were living with Larry while Susan was in a custody battle with Alex's father. And one day they just disappeared, but because they were together when they disappeared, police assumed that Susan just ran away with her daughter. But Larry confirmed that that's not what happened. The story he gave on his deathbed is that one day he came home to see that Susan was stealing money from him, and so he shot her. And then panicking, he wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, and that included Alex, her daughter. And to me, the craziest thing in all of this is that Larry had really bad dementia, so when he gave this confession, they weren't really convinced that it was true. But the day after he died, both of their remains were found in his backyard. If you want to hear more on that story and other cold cases that were solved this year, check out the Cold Cases That Were Solved This Year episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
When it's the end, man. When the end is near, people, that's when they want to tell the truth, I guess, you know. get it off their chest on Bert.
The world's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I want to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking. No way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Did you know
some truth to that?
Forks were used in ancient China, which were then replaced by chopsticks. It has rained more in Los Angeles this year than in Seattle. Your red blood cells only live about 120 days. Coke had 3 different opportunities 100 years ago to buy Pepsi and refused every single time. Christmas lights used to be a status symbol because they would often be rented instead of bought because they were so expensive. This river in the Amazon has boiling water. Australia has the highest skin cancer rate in the world. Angel Falls in Venezuela is the highest uninterrupted waterfall in the world. The Eiffel Tower can be taller by about 15 centimeters in the summer due to the increased temperatures expanding the metal. It only took Lady Gaga 10 minutes each to write Poker Face, Born This Way, and Just Dance. The Cubs 2016 World Series ring includes an engraving of the Billy Goat that was refused entry in the 1945 World Series, which caused the owner to lay a curse on the team.
One of my favorite Saw traditions is back. For those who don't know, for every Saw movie that comes out, they have a Saw blood drive. It's a partnership with the Red Cross. They did it for the very first Saw movie as a way to promote the film. If you come and give us some blood, we give you free tickets to see the movie. But the original filmmakers saw how successful this was. They saw how many people came out to donate blood, and they decided they wanted to do it again, but just to mostly help people than anything. And they did this for the Saw movies 1 through 8. And by the time Saw 8, aka Jigsaw, finished its promotional campaign, over 360,000 total lives have been saved because of the Saw franchise. I did make a video talking about this back in 2021. Wow, the difference a few years makes. They had to skip over the blood drive for Spiral, I'm assuming because of COVID-related reasons, but now it's back for Saw X, and the posters look so good. They're also advertising all blood types are accepted from all people, which is amazing.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't
kill
himself. At least that's what a lot of people think. And here's some of the evidence that they cite when they talk about this case. So after his initial arrest, Jeffrey Epstein was placed on suicide watch for a number of reasons, even though he was continuously telling prison psychologists, friends, attorneys that he wouldn't do that and he's never considered it. So first of all, let's take a look at this sign. This is a sign that was hanging on or around Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell. No one knows why this question mark is around the mandatory. A newspaper even reached out to the Bureau of Prisons to ask about why there was an underlying question mark here, but they refused to comment. 7:49 on the night before they found Epstein dead in his cell. He's led to his cell and he's placed there. So Epstein had been on suicide watch for weeks at this point, but he had just been taken off suicide watch the day before. The people running the prison, the Bureau of Prison System, they recommended that Jeffrey Epstein needed to have a roommate at all times. Even if he had been taken off of the list, he was still on the list, if you know what I mean. Well, for some reason, that night his roommate was not assigned to him, they were removed from the cell, and that left Jeffrey Epstein completely alone in his jail cell. Now remember this sign that said that they have to search his cell and look at Jeffrey Epstein every 30 minutes? Well, that did not happen. Well, it turns out that the 2 security guards that were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes, Michael Thomas and Tova Noel, did not check on him for over 8 hours. Video surveillance footage literally shows them playing with their phones and sleeping on the job. And keep in mind that Epstein at this point was America's most high-profile criminal. This dude was all over the news. And after all this, these two were charged with falsifying documents and attempting to defraud the federal government. So something that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way about all this is the security camera footage itself. Now, this is a prison. Every angle should have been being captured at every single moment. You know, anything can happen in prison. And video footage of the security guards exists from that night, but there is no video footage of Epstein's cell block area or his cell door. It's actually been reported that the camera that was shooting the angle down Jeffrey Epstein's cell block area corrupted the night that he took his own life. Of all times for this one specific camera to corrupt and the footage to be lost, it was that night when it happened. And there's a lot more that we're going to get into, but like I said, there's just a lot here that we're going to cover, but this quote really says a lot about what I just told you. So, Epstein's taken off suicide watch the day before he kills himself. His roommate is removed from the cell. The cameras on his tier are not working. The guards fell asleep. It seems almost impossible to think all those things could happen in that way. And this is Epstein we're talking about, America's most high-profile prisoner. In fact, the suicide watch observation log, this is the actual document, shows that Epstein was acting pretty normally that day. Which isn't to say that he wasn't deceiving people by saying he didn't want to take his own life when he was secretly trying to get alone time where he could do it, but it's still an interesting side note. In the next TikTok, we're going to get into the really crazy stuff.
That people are just not celebrating as much. This dog went in for a teeth cleaning and was spayed instead. These astronauts were only supposed to be in space for 8 days and now have to stay in space until next year because of new safety concerns. A new study came out and said that when Barbie learned what a gynecologist was, millions of other people did as well. It was recently revealed that this US woman who was tied to a tree in the middle of the forest in India tied herself to it. New research is suggesting that mayonnaise may help us develop perfect nuclear fusion. Remote work is to blame for Google's struggles with AI, according to the former CEO. This man was given 40 sausage rolls for 40 years of service at his job. This woman in her 70s was fired from Home Depot after failing to stop a customer from using a suspicious card to spend over $5,000 in fraudulent charges.
These are 8 total
How is she gonna stop
that will probably keep you up at night. If you smell burnt toast and there's nothing actually burning, you are most probably having a stroke. If you have 5 brothers, one of you will go to 5 funerals, while another won't see even one. If you shiver randomly, that means a ghost passed near or through you. There are 2 days that don't last 24 hours. The one of your birth and the one of your death. In the original Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf forced her to eat her grandma. You've never actually seen your face. Only photos and reflections. People who fall in love lose an average of 2 friends each. By the time you reach the age of 18, on average, you have 3,300 weekends left in your life. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for Part 11.
We learned some new stuff today.
You don't know about.
In 1991, a decomposing woman was found hanging from a shower in a New Mexico motel. Despite an image of her being found in the room, she and the man in the photo remain unidentified to this day. But her first name is believed to be Becca, thanks only to an anonymous tip given to police in 2021. In 2011, Tokyo officials went to congratulate the oldest man in the city on his 111th birthday. But upon entering the man's home, they instead found his mummified remains sprawled over his bed. He had been dead for more than 30 years, and his family was still collecting the pension money he was receiving. Tennessee man James Washington was always the prime suspect of a 1995 murder. But there is never sufficient evidence to charge him that was until 2012. When he was having a heart attack and confessed to the murder since he believed he was about to die. But Washington ended up making a full recovery, and was convicted based on this confession, which he later tried to take back.
Nah,
Scientific fact?
that's actually wild. You confess the truth in the end thinking, you know, it's all about to be over. Then try to recant it because you survived. Man, that's a diabolical liar right there.
About each zodiac sign.
Tauruses are the clumsiest. An insurance policy expert that analyzed damage claims found that Tauruses made up the majority of those cases. However, Leos caused the most damage in terms of dollar value, even more than the Tauruses.
Wow.
Leos are the worst drivers. A car share service analyzed hundreds of thousands of users and found that Leos were the most likely to get traffic tickets. On the other hand, Aries were the safest drivers, making up the least amount of traffic violations from that same study. A survey from Career Builder found that Tauruses, Leos, Scorpios, and Cancers were the most likely to make over $100,000 a year. And that same study found that Aquarians and Capricorns were the most likely to make less than $35,000 per year.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. Once there was a police officer investigating a series of strange accidents, including car crashes, house fires, and even people who became aggressive with their loved ones seemingly out of nowhere. But after he got photos of these accidents, he realized they all had one thing in common. The same man was found in all of these photos. And the most disturbing part is his face is upside down. This turned out to be the urban legend of the man with the upside down face. He looks like a normal man, except his face is the wrong way, with his mouth at the top and his eyes at the bottom. This creature feeds off of people's negative emotions like grief, terror, and misery, making these emotions more intense until you can't stop yourself from doing something terrible. And the worst part is he's completely invisible to us, appearing only in photos. So let's just hope that he's not anywhere near us right now. Follow for more stories.
Upside down man. Looks like he caused a lot of freaking... He was feeding off a lot of pain, man. Any truth to that theory? I might have to go down that rabbit hole one day.
Facts that can one day save your life. If your hair suddenly stands up, run for cover because you're about to be hit by lightning. If a tornado ever looks like it's not moving, run or take cover, because it is actually moving towards you. If a service dog approaches you without its owner, follow them and do it quickly because you can save someone else's life. The more colourful the animal is, the more likely it's poisonous and you should never touch it.
This is why you should always lock your front doors. A kid living with both of his parents decided to watch a movie for their family weekly movie night. He then gets up to use the restroom. As he is in the restroom, he sees all of the power in the house cuts off, and then he hears two loud thumps. He locks the bathroom door and hears heavy objects being dragged across the hallway. The kid, freaking out, runs out of the bathroom and runs into the restroom. Once he is inside the room, he locks the door. As he locks the door, he jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep in hopes that this person who is in the house will ignore a child sleeping. He closes his eyes and hears the door creak at the same time. He squints his eyes and sees a man with no eyes dragging the bodies of both of his parents. The man dragging his parents sits his mom's dead body in a chair facing him, and then sets the dad's body on the floor facing up. It was almost like whoever was in the house who killed them wanted him to see it. He then sees the man writing something on the wall and then climbs under his bed. He laid there for hours knowing that if he moved a muscle he would end up just like his parents. He finally built up enough courage to read the wall, and the writing on the wall said, "I know you're awake."
This will make you never want to go into space. A man named Michael was alone in space with no other humans for thousands of miles. But then he heard static coming from his radio, and Michael had a gut-wrenching feeling. "Hello, this is Michael Stanton of the Rising Dawn. Do you read me? Over." A breathless voice then replied, "Thank God. I didn't know how much longer I could survive out here. What's going on? Where are you communicating from?" The voice then said back, "I'm right outside your ship, Stanton. Open the hatch door and let me in." Michael's heart rate quickened. He found the strength to turn off the radio, and then he heard it. "Let me in," the voice repeated, but it wasn't like before. It sounded demonic. And Michael never opened the door. Everyone back home told him he could not have possibly heard those sounds in a space vacuum. But Michael still knew that thing was still out there.
That's based off an alien story or something? I thought you couldn't hear sounds in space.
Easily, never play this game. This is the stairs game, and it's not for the weak. It's a sinister ritual and is extremely dangerous, and I don't recommend playing it. But if you do, please be very careful. You can play this game anytime during the day, but it's better to do it at night. The only things you need is a blindfold and a set of stairs. And don't worry about your staircase because it doesn't matter the amount of stairs you have. To begin the game, you have to be on the lowest step and say these words out loud. "I come before you today, Lucifer. Open the gates of your kingdom for me." You have to repeat those words 6 times in order to be blessed and begin the game. Now put on your blindfold and begin going up the stairs. Count every stair one by one and never forget the number you get. And then repeat it going down the stairs. Keep doing this until you have more stairs going down than up. You would then start sweating and hearing whispering voices, which means you are in the underworld. You would then hear a very creepy demonic voice from an entity asking you, what do you want? You then tell him, and then when you complete the game, you would get whatever you asked for. But here's the thing, if you fall at any point while playing this game, you will be completely stuck in the underworld forever.
Man, I never played any of those game seekers, bro. That game sounds like it's just it's a nightmare fuel waiting to happen. Who wants to go to the underworld anyway? That's something you would avoid. No, I don't think so. That's the edit. Call them out when you see it.
Strange phobias of celebrities.
Johnny Depp, coulrophobia, fear of clowns. We've seen him on screen working in mask, but he is actually terrified of clowns. Katy Perry, nyctophobia, fear of darkness. She has admitted that she sleeps with the lights on because she thinks a lot of evil things go on in the dark. Kendall Jenner, trypophobia, fear of tiny holes. She says that she can't even look at those little holes that gives her anxiety. Madonna, astrophobia, fear of thunderstorm. She is so afraid of thunderstorm that she doesn't even step out of her house when it's raining.
Wow.
Tyra Banks, delphinophobia, fear of dolphins. She has been afraid of dolphins since she was 8 years old, because of dreams where she is in a pool and dolphins keep bumping into her.
Do not scan another QR code until you've heard this. Banks and regulators have issued a warning of the rise of QR code scams that are tricking people into stealing their financial information. Now, there are many ways that they are doing this, but one of the most unsuspecting methods is that they are sticking fake QR codes over real ones that you would normally scan to pay for things like food or parking. But once scanned, it brings you to a website that's designed to capture your credentials or download malware. And it's not just sticker scams, they're also being sent via email to corporations and workplaces, where to view a file, you need to scan this QR code. And while this is also affecting the US, in the UK alone, QR code scams have more than doubled since last year alone. And that is why...
Creepy photos that can't be explained.
Be vigilant.
This photo was taken in the basement of a house that was for sale a few years ago. The photo was taken by a realtor because he wanted to show his clients the house. Everything looks completely normal in this house until you look at the left corner. What appears to be a fairly transparent woman is standing towards the bottom of the stairs going to the basement. The realtor insists that nobody was there when he took the photo, but the strangest part about this photo lies in the backstory of this house. The house was previously owned by a man and his wife, but unfortunately the wife passed away, so the husband decided to sell. Another reason why the man wanted to sell his house is because after his wife passed, he kept hearing strange noises in the middle of the night while home alone. What do you guys think? Who or what was captured on camera? Like and follow for more.
Maybe a squatter? And that's that picture Carter.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. An average human walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime. There's future biotech technology. When injected into prisoners, it makes them feel they served a 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. The blue whale ejaculates over 40 gallons of sperm when mating. Only 10% enters the female. And you always wonder why the sea tasted salty. If you block your nose when you sneeze, you can rupture a blood vessel in your neck that can make you bleed to death. People that are left-handed die 3 years faster than people that are right-handed. Watching horror films can burn up to 200 calories. You may be living the last year of your life without being aware of it. You are always 6 minutes away from death. Breathing just resets the clock. There's a lot more, like for part 9.
I never thought about it like that, especially about the breathing part. Puts things in perspective. Like, we really are 6 minutes away, but if you set the clock, it's like we're on a timer, man. That's why time is valuable.
think this could be the strangest disappearance I have ever heard. This 19-year-old Jason Jolkowski, and in 2001 he was living at home in Omaha, Nebraska with his family, very normal life, and it was a summer day, June 13th, where something very disturbing took place right off the street. Jason wasn't supposed to work this day, but he got called into work, and it was a place called Fazoli's. It's kind of just like a fast casual Italian place, but the problem was he didn't have his car that day. He had no transportation. His manager, who made a couple of calls, and he arranged for one of the co-workers to go and pick up Jason at the nearby high school. For context, it's a very short walk from his house. It's quite literally only a few blocks. Problem was, Jason never showed. He had somehow completely vanished during this walk. He only could have gone so many ways. So one of the most logical was that he was going to take Bedford. It's a street with a lot of foot traffic, so people assumed that somebody would have seen him. An alternate option where maybe he took a couple of back roads to get to the high school. But again, what's known is that he never made it, and no one has ever found what happened to him, and nobody saw or heard what went down. Looking for more of a deep dive on this story, I'm probably going to cover it on The Sinister.
This mother murdered her 3 kids during a psychosis episode. On January 24th, 2023, 32-year-old Lindsay Clancy took the life of her 5-year-old daughter Cora, 3-year-old son Dawson, and 7-month-old baby Callan. On this day, at 4:53 p.m., Lindsay asked her husband Patrick to pick up some dinner at a restaurant not too far from the house. About an hour later, Patrick returned home and noticed that there was absolute silence. He called for Lindsay's name, and after no response, he went into the bedroom and noticed that the window was open. Lindsay had jumped out the window in an attempt to take her own life, but she was still alive. This is where things get really sad. Patrick went to the basement and found all 3 kids with exercise cords around their necks. Both Cora and Dawson passed away in the hospital, but baby Callan passed away 3 days later due to his injuries. Lindsay's defense attorney claims that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, which led her to break from reality and murder her children. But the state attorney argues that these killings were premeditated and that Lindsay sent her husband to get food on purpose so that she can commit these crimes. However, Dr. Caney, who is a board member of Postpartum Support International, clarified that women can completely break with reality during violent episodes. She also said that women who are a few weeks postpartum should be aware of the symptoms of psychosis, which is usually hallucinating. Lindsay was charged with 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of strangulation and assault, and battery with a deadly weapon. And get this, she's currently paralyzed from the waist down after jumping out the window.
Ooh, that's a chilling story, man.
Did you know these facts?
Serious
This loading
thing.
symbol is actually called a throbber. In the United States, 75% of truck owners do not use their truck for towing or going off-road. 2 million tires were intentionally dumped off the coast of Florida in the 1970s as an attempt to stimulate growth of new coral reefs. Miracle Village in Florida is a small town where more than 50% of the residents are registered offenders. When you sleep, your brain gets washed with spinal fluid. More people have walked on the moon than blocked a LeBron James dunk. Buzz Aldrin's dad never accepted that he was the number 2 man on the moon instead of number 1. His dad even tried to get USPS to change their commemorative stamp from first man on the moon to first men on the moon and failed. Big Bird looks different in every country. This is Big Bird in the Netherlands, this is Big Bird in Portugal, and this is Big Bird in Brazil.
What?
This is why you should never...
Did y'all know that Elmo had different big birds? That's about to... Imagine, bro. Kid in America, man, watching a different version of Elmo. That's gonna make them freaking go crazy, man, when they see that Big Bird's wrong. I never knew that.
Ever drink tap water, you will be shocked by the results.
Okay. Let's see what's some of that. Need to see this.
40x. 100x. 400x.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time, Part 1. Woolly mammoths were still around while Egyptians were building the pyramids. Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire was founded. George Washington never knew dinosaurs existed. The Nintendo company was founded while Jack the Ripper was still on the loose.
What? Really? Damn, Nintendo's that old?
This is one of the creepiest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So for like 30 years in Maine, there was this urban legend that there was a man who had lived in the woods for decades and would break into people's houses as they slept. Also, all of this is coming from this week's episode, which is about terrifying true urban legends and is part of our Dark Summer series. This legend basically started because in this one community in Maine, people would wake up in the morning to find that their fridges were empty. And so they all started joking with each other that there was someone breaking into their homes at night and just taking food from their fridge. And it was a huge joke until someone put up a security camera one night. And this is the video that was captured, and before you say anything, I don't know why it took them so long to put up security cameras. Everyone was shocked, not only because the rumor was true, but because this didn't look like a hermit that lived in the woods. It looked like it could have been one of their neighbors. But the crazy thing is, no one knew who this guy was. They put up flyers with his face on it, and no one in all of Maine recognized him. And it wasn't until almost 20 years later that they actually figured out who it was. His name was Christopher Knight, and he was a hermit living in the woods of Maine for 27 years. But here's the thing, it's not like he was stealing valuables from the neighbors. He was only stealing food, and he only took what he needed. So what do you think? Was he a bad guy? And make sure you listen to this week's episode wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, stealing is stealing. You was breaking into people's houses, man, and taking food. I don't think anybody is gonna feel bad for him. Hey, that's my thoughts on that. Urban legends, man. There's always truth to them. I've learned that.
Here are some facts that you probably didn't know that one day could save your life. If your pupils don't dilate to the same size, there is a very real chance you have brain damage. A motorcycle helmet is stronger than a skull. Tea bags actually stop bleeding. They contain a chemical called tannic, which naturally clots your blood. If you're in the wilderness and desperately need water, you can take a plastic bag and hold it against the branch of a willow tree, and it will condensate drinkable water into the bag. Never put tools or heavy objects on the back seat or dash of your car. If you get into a crash, you might survive the collision, but these items could be the cause of your death. If you see vultures circling above you, chances are there's a predator nearby and it's about to make a kill. Grapefruits can actually mess with prescription medication, and the most common of these is birth control. So stay away, because trust me, you do not have the time for a grapefruit baby. If a canker sore in your mouth or tongue isn't going away after 2 weeks, you might want to get it checked out because it very well could be oral cancer.
I walked out of the theater after seeing Saw X and decided I need more. So here's 3 horror movies you need to watch, especially if you like Saw. First up is this absolutely insane movie called 31, about 5 carnival workers who get kidnapped by crazy killer clowns and forced to play a deadly game called 31. If I had to describe this movie in 2 words, it would be weird and insane. And I mean both as compliments. Next up is a movie I've been waiting to talk about, Dead Silence, which was made by the writers, directors, and producers of Saw. It's about a town with a unique urban legend of a doll maker turned serial killer. It's actually a crime that it has 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. Please watch this and let me know if you agree with me or the critics. I really need to know. And the last movie is also the one that's most similar to Saw, because The Collector was supposed to be John Kramer's origin story, but now it's about a different serial killer who turns different places into traps and collects victims from each of the traps that he makes. I have a whole video dedicated to the Collector series as well, so follow for more.
Fun fact,
I love scary movies.
Invented so researchers could see how much coffee was in the break room coffee pot at the University of Cambridge, and it was also the first thing to ever go viral. The computer laboratory at the University of Cambridge was a pretty large building with multiple floors, and all the researchers shared one break room with only one coffee pot, meaning they'd often go for a long walk to get a cup of coffee, only to find an empty coffee pot. So 2 researchers set up a small camera pointed at the coffee machine and hooked it up to the laboratory's local network and wrote a program called X-Coffee, which allowed the researchers to check on how much coffee was in the coffee pot from the comfort of their offices. When the internet went live to the public in 1993, X-Coffee was added to the World Wide Web and went viral. Thousands of people would tune in every day to check on how much coffee was in the coffee pot. They even got an email from Japan asking them to leave a light on in the break room overnight so the coffee pot could be viewed in different time zones.
People are convinced that this is a skinwalker. Listen carefully. Skinwalkers have the ability to mimic the sounds of a human voice, and they have been known to portray themselves as crows. So, could this be a skinwalker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, I did a video on my YouTube channel about skinwalker sightings, so if you want to see that video, link in bio.
Was that a skinwalker, Seekers? I'm gonna have to say yes. I think it was. It was saying it to me, in my perspective, it said, come on. And it said it like a couple of times. I don't know if it's mimicking someone did it hear someone say that, but that's the first time I think I've seen a crow say like come on. I don't know if they have that ability or not, so tell me down below what do you guys think.
But are mermaids evil? Well, there's apparently different species of mermaids, each residing in different areas around the world, sirens being one of the most evil and malevolent species. I always think of the sirens from Harry Potter when I think of these. Sirens can lure you in with visual and audio manipulation. They utilize songs to put you in a trance and bring you close enough to them so that you can see their true form. Usually they look frightening like this and have really long, sharp teeth. And this is when they kidnap you and keep you forever. And apparently a lot of people in the Caribbean area have experiences of being abducted by mermaids. I was watching this girl's video about how to make a deal properly with a mermaid, and apparently if you want something like to be healed or to be wealthy, usually a mermaid will want something in return. It can be something as simple as salt all the way up to a child or a relative. Mermaids apparently have the ability to keep you breathing underwater, so it's not that they're drowning the person you give them, it's just that they're holding them hostage underwater. But if they're feeling nice, they'll let you see them once a year.
His name was Max Logan, and at 13 years old, he discovered a device that cost only $14 and could create pure energy. Called it an electromagnetic harvester, and now people don't know what happened to him. I searched it myself, and some people say that he's missing, other people said that he passed away with his mother in a car crash. Creating pure energy for only $14 is insane, so people think that the government came after him. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
You guys ever wake up in the middle of the night and feel like something's watching you? This guy woke up in the middle of the night and actually caught this thing staring at him on camera. I'm gonna roll the clip right now.
I still feel like there was something definitely in that corner. It just like vanished up.
I asked some of my haunted dolls if they had any advice for me while I was meeting the actual Annabelle doll today. Here's what they said.
How is she communicating with them?
You're not afraid of the dark, are you? Don't be afraid. I will show you how to play hide and seek. Do you want to play hide and seek? You hide, and I'll find you. You're going to die
all haunted. Interesting. Okay.
Ini gue sendiri yang datang. Jangan lari lu yang lebih. Ada temennya lu ntar tolong lu. Oh, jadi ini gue sendirian. Jantung. Jangan.
Oh crap.
Behind me is the most haunted and terrifying school in the entire country. This place is absolutely insane, and every time we have come here, we have literally ran away because of the things that happened inside. And I'm gonna go in right now. We already have our gear room set up, guys. Here we go. Let's walk in.
Brave
It
soul.
goes down in 2006. Oh my God, it's cold. Not much is known about the history, but all we know is it's extremely haunted. One time we even called the police, and the police ran out after they saw a shadow figure. You can check out that video on my YouTube channel, Jake Ghost Hunter. Guys, as you can see from the boarded up door, people do break in all the time. But we do have the key to this place, so I am able to walk in. And let's see what's up. We'll lock that door. Oh my God, dude. And this place is actually wild, guys. We are going to be live in here right now. On TikTok, so if you see that we are live, tune in. There's even a gymnasium. If you don't believe in ghosts, this place will literally make you believe in ghosts, 100%.
Okay, I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Oh my God!
Ooh, hell no. I don't know what she saw in the house, but we out.
Okay, so I will say I'm stupid for drinking. That knife fell out of that little fucking knife container thing.
So I just moved into this house and I found this little room right here, and every time at night I keep hearing noises from the closet.
Yeah, I'm moving out smart. Why is the clock moving like that?
What the fuck? I'm scared.
Call edit on that one. That has to be a cosplayer, right? We all know what's going on with the planes right now. That doesn't even shock me. Like it's plastic.
I just watched 2 more brand new horror movies that landed on Tubi that no one else will watch, so let's talk about them. Subject 101. A homeless Syrian refugee is in Germany and he's offered a job and a place to stay by a totally legit looking tech company. The job he's given is security and he can get called on to any certain job at any time. One job has him taking a bag from the office to another location, switching it for another bag and returning to the office. On this job he gets ambushed and shot in the chest. Whilst escaping he stumbles across a police officer who bundles him into an ambulance where he's injected in the chest with something. He then starts to go through changes. People die, he doesn't know what's real and what's not. This movie is one of those movies that is nearly good. The plot however is kinda confusing and the ending just annoyed me, but it's well directed, has some excellent editing, some lovely green and red lighting and surprisingly strong performances. It's more thriller than horror, and I'd not say it's a must watch, but I do think this director has some real promise. Secondly, Cursed, which I'll be honest I watched because this poster looks kinda wintry. An obnoxious American tourist in Romania gets kicked out of his cab into a remote wilderness. He stumbles across an unmanned fruit stand and steals an apple and a wooden box. He continues his walk and comes across a house. He is welcomed in by the woman who lives there with her elderly mother. It turns out the mother owns the fruit stand, and we learn via animation what happened to the last person who stole fruit. This is a super ambitious film. Again, it's a little confusing, but I actually enjoyed this one. It's sort of a European fairy tale with some really solid body horror. I just wish we got more creature stuff.
Are you fucking
Okay.
As they followed the app's coordinates, they were led to a random location. Just as they arrived, an ambulance sped by with lights flashing. Kelly posted the experience, saying she might have peed her pants. But the comments quickly turned dark. One user warned, "Why would you manifest death? That energy comes back to you." Another claimed, "This is like using a Ouija board. You're inviting trouble." And the chilling part? Someone wrote, "I did this before and we nearly crashed. Be careful what you ask for." Could they have accidentally attracted something sinister? While many dismissed it as coincidence, some believed it was a direct result of their manifestation. One commenter wrote, "Y'all are asking the universe for signs and it's answering." Others suggested they may have unintentionally invited something supernatural. Kelly later tried to downplay the experience, saying they manifested positivity afterward, but the uneasy feeling lingers. Did they truly influence reality? Or was this just a creepy coincidence? Either way, it's a chilling reminder to be careful what you wish for.
Man, words have power. That's why you always gotta be careful what you say. That's why I always try to preach positivity and put, positive words out into the world, because you don't want that energy, man, to come back to you. Something I learned watching these videos together with you guys, man. Be positive. Don't go search for negativity, man, because it will find you. We see that, right? Yep, hit the jets. We out. Smart move.
なんか触られた。は？上をったろ今。大ちゃん後ろ！後ろ！
Flash is on. Alright, let's take a look.
It's all looking weird.
Let me see. I'll know if she's my dog. Merlin, sit. Turn around. Turn around. Lay down. You're not my dog. My dog don't know how to do no fucking trick. The fuck? Call 911.
What the?
Hey! Somebody!
Maybe the dog learned some new tricks. What is that? It's like energy releasing. Or spirits.
Pennywise, are you down there? Are you... What the fuck is that?
Somebody standing on top of that roof. Is it frozen?
Bro, tell me why the fuck this thing just fell out of my Burger King and is now fucking moving on its own.
Hey man, we gotta be careful with this fast food we eating. It was moving. We saw that with our own eyes. Makes me stay clear of fast food. Try to eat as less of it as possible.
So if someone could please explain to me, that would be great.
That meat not real. It's fake.
There's a frog in here.
Why was I boiling the fucking eggs and one just exploded with a fucking chicken?
Alright, I said I wasn't gonna flip it over, but I did. Look at that.
Sue.
I ate that.
What the? Hey, sue them, man.
So we just bought this from Kroger.
And then I dig in it. I ate a little bit of it. Just a little pinch, I don't know. And this is what the fuck I seen. What the fuck is that?
No, it's all. There's a fucking frog. Oh my.
What's down there?
Oh my god!
At 2 a.m.?
This isn't my house!
They're playing with those Ouija boards, man. Like I said, get away from them.
You wanna play?
What made the baby doll do that at 2 a.m.? That's the real question we need to be asking.
Oh my fucking god, I swear to god, this thing just fucking looked at me. Oh my.
Well, just moved, dude. Golly, fucking sure. Oh boy, we definitely out of here. Oh.
You see my dog Nina? Do you see my dog Nina?
Automated response? These dolls be having some creepy moments, man.
This is going viral.
Woody
right
real?
now. Somebody took a picture in one of the tombs in Egypt, and they saw a figure of a person there that looks like an ancient Egyptian ghost. We've seen footage of ghosts before, but one of the places we never really heard about ghosts coming from until recently was the tombs of Egypt. Does that not look like a person, right? That looks like a person, right? So the person that took this picture was alone in the room when it happened. After they took the picture, they realized, yo, what the fuck is this
subside. Now it gets crazier, right? Okay. Because it's almost semi-transparent as a spirit would be. Now this is where it gets weird. What they noticed was, holy shit, that looks exactly like the husband of the tomb. Now, they went and looked at pictures of what he would be wearing, and it matched exactly the strands. And they found proof of the afterlife in Egypt. You know Jennifer's body with Megan Fox? Oh yeah. That's actually based on a real crime. It's a true of 15-year-old Elise Holler from California. In Jennifer's body, the story was there's this girl, she went out to a party, these 3 boys, to do satanic rituals.
You know how hard it is to make it as an indie band these days? Satan is our only hope. We have to make a really big impression on it. And to do that, we're going to have to... But you know what? Maybe we'll write a song about you.
What the heck? Yeah, they ended up doing it to her. One of the things that they really needed, though, was they asked her, are you a virgin? That's what was necessary for, I guess, their satanic ritual, right? So the original story, not the movie, March 1996, Arroyo Grande, California. Okay. She was taken, I don't know how to word it, you know, she was like... There's like a satanic ritual, candles everywhere. After they had the body there for 8 months, and they kept going back to, and they continued to. That's messed up. So that's why it's called Jennifer's body. Yeah. Let me continue on the real story. The only way the police found her body was because one of the boys.
I never knew that. Salute. Is that a clown? Hey man, stay away from the scary ass clowns, bro. I see clowns bad. I want to throw hands at them, bro. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Also comment down below. Don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.